Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. I am your host and beat reporter, and I have been your beat reporter covering the Jacksonville Jaguars for OnSI every single day since August 2019, and we are continuing to march forward through yet another season together. As always, you can find all of our 100% free, 24/7, boots on the ground Jacksonville Jaguars content when you follow us on social media such as Facebook or Twitter at Jaguars on SI. You can also find us at www.si.com/NFL/Jaguars. All right, folks, welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. We are now one day removed from the Jacksonville Jaguars defeating the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football 31-28. It was definitely a thrilling game. One of the biggest games I've covered in my career covering the Jaguars, at least, in terms of home games. Obviously, it's a Week 5 game, so maybe stakes aren't exactly there, but it sure felt important. It sure felt like the Jaguars put themselves on a grand stage and had a chance to show the rest of the NFL that the Liam Cohen era is legit and is off to a hot start. Now, yeah, it's not the Kansas City Chiefs of old. They aren't the Kansas City Chiefs team that has just been a complete powerhouse. I believe they won 11 one-score games last year. They're 0-3 in them this year. It just kind of shows you how one-score games can kind of flip. But what I will say is, for the Jaguars to win that game, and it coming on the heels of beating the San Francisco 49ers a week previously, I think it just shows you that this Jaguars team is legit. I think, yeah, it is a team that's flawed, sure. But point to me a team that isn't flawed right now. They all have something, they all have a certain aspect about them that, is a weakness or isn't exactly 100%, a strength. Whatever it is, there is no flawless team in the NFL. I know many might think that their team is, but even at 4-1, the Jaguars, have some obvious flaws. But it is the fact that the Jaguars have overcome those flaws to this point that makes what they've done and what Liam Cohen's done and what the locker room has done, what the front office has done, so impressive. I mean, this is a team that a year ago went 3-10 in one-score games. They won 4 games in all of the 2024 season. They've already matched that this year. Liam Cohen took a team that was consistently beating itself, was consistently falling short, was consistently not coming up in the clutch to the last few weeks. That's all they've done. They failed to do so against the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 2. It's the only reason they have a loss this year. The only reason they aren't 5-0 right now. And yes, I do think you can correctly also point out that, they did get the Bengals off the field late in the game on 4th down. That should have sealed the game. And for whatever reason, there was one of the worst defensive pass interference penalties that's been thrown this year. But they didn't lose the game just because of that. They had chances to take that game and chances to put that game away that they didn't take advantage of. But the last 3 weeks, the Jags have done it every week since then. Against the Houston Texans, Trevor Lawrence finds Brian Thomas Jr. Big play. Josh Hines-Allen tips the final pass of the game, gets intercepted by Antonio Johnson. Big play. They made those critical plays in the big moments that they haven't been able to make for a long time. San Francisco 49ers. Eric Armstead forces a fumble. Big play. Trevor Lawrence finds Hunter Long. First down to ice the game. Big play. Parker Washington's punt return. They made plays that separated themselves over the course of that game, but especially in the most critical moments. And then last night against the Chiefs, they did it again. Trevor Lawrence finding Brian Thomas Jr. for a 33-yard gain. Big moment. Next play, De'Ami Brown. Big moment. Brian Thomas Jr. fighting back to the football. Drawing a pass interference. Big play. Regardless of how you slice it, this Jaguars team went from one that struggled each and every game last year to make the big plays in the critical moments, and they are now making them. I mean, Trevor Lawrence's game-winning touchdown. He gets stepped on. He falls all over himself. He still wills himself to score. I think Liam Cohen said it best. He was refusing to lose. And that's not to say Trevor was content with losing in the past, but the fire and attitude that he's shown this year has been a step up. And I think a big reason for that is the fire and attitude his head coach has. It has spread through the locker room, through the organization. These are guys who are willing to fight and scratch and crawl and bite and do whatever they have to do to win football games. Regardless of the reasons why the last regime did not work out. The biggest failure that took place inside that building was the inability to cultivate a culture where losing was unacceptable. The Jaguars made too many losing plays last year. Liam Cohen said it best. They had to figure out how to stop beating themselves before they beat another team. And that was what the Jaguars had done last year. And for the last several years, just beat themselves over and over again in maddening ways, frustrating ways. And now here they are, 5 games into the era of Liam Cohen. And they're 4-1. In the last 2 weeks, they've beat 2 head coaches, 2 quarterbacks who have been to Super Bowls. I mean, Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence marched down the field last night. Yes, they got aided by the kickoff out of bounds, but made some critical plays down the field and even on other drives against one of the best defensive coordinators probably in NFL history, in Steve Spagnuolo. So I think Liam Cohen has given this Jaguars team a brand of confidence, a brand of toughness, a culture of, simply put, they won't be denied. I don't know why that didn't take before. But it's a lot of the same players. Not all, but it's a lot. And you have to think the biggest reason for the change, they still have the same quarterback, still the same number 1 receiver, same running back, 3/5 of the same offensive line. They have the same exact defensive line. You have to think that the biggest reason why this team has changed so much is because of Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen has set a new standard for the Jacksonville Jaguars. A standard that they weren't reaching before. A standard that says, simply put, they aren't going to accept anything less than 100% all gas, no brakes football. And again, that's not to say it was tolerated before. I truly believe Doug Peterson wanted this locker room to move in this direction, but I think he wanted it to be player-led. And it is player-led, I think, still to an extent. You're seeing great leaders like Jordan Lewis, Josh Hines-Allen, Devin Lloyd, Robert Hainsey. But I think it has started with the head coach. The head coach has set the standard for this Jaguars team. And the Liam Cohen hire right now, yeah, it's a long season. But there were plenty of believers in this building before the Jaguars started playing real football games. And I can guarantee you those believers are only feeling more steadfast in their belief for the Jaguars and in their belief of Liam Cohen after seeing what he has done over these first 5 games. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. Be back next time.